Life Audio.
Like, what is your end result or your expectation of why you're working so hard or why you're involved in so many things? Because you want people to see you a certain way? Because my guess is you're showing up to things flustered and not who God truly created you to be because you're so overwhelmed.
Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we have encouraging conversations to help you joyfully harmonize your home and work life. I'm your host, Rebecca Scott. I'm a wife, mother, designer, coach, and author. I'm here to help encourage and empower you to confidently make decisions that work for you and your stage of life, whatever that might be. Hey there, encouragers. All month long in July, we're re-airing some of your favorite episodes because summer is always really full, and especially for my business, Rebecca Scott Designs, and a little breathing room goes a long way. But let me ask, are you craving more joy and structure in both your home and work life? If so, my Encourager cohort kicks off this September. It's a 10-week journey with coaching, community, and systems that actually work for you. Stay tuned or head to encourageracademy.com to enroll. Hello, encouragers. I've got a special guest this week that happens to be one of my friends and a neighbor, which is kind of cool. We're having our guest back, Heather Kittleson, to talk to us about something she's passionate about, that she's teaching on, that she is speaking on, that she's organizing events around. And she's just really passionate about this group of people. And those of you that listen to this podcast most likely are moms and women. But don't tune out, guys. We have a lot of information about what we're going through ourselves. So I hope that you also will take away some takeaways about what it's like today to be a woman and to be a mom, and the mixed messages we are receiving, even from the Christian world and the worldly view, where you're like, where do I fall here? It can be really overwhelming. And I love how Heather puts things together to just encourage us, like I obviously love to do, and help us decipher what really is true for myself right now and in this moment. So Heather, first remind us a little bit about yourself. And then I would also like to say the first podcast was talking about your addiction. And now we are in the glorious, full of flowers and light post-addiction world. So tell us what that is like right now.
Well, that is a false statement. It is not flowers and fluff.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Pure honesty.
Yes. As much as I would like to claim that would be a false statement, because anybody who has gone through addiction of any kind, there is always a struggle. And that is why in the world of addiction or alcoholism, it states day by day. Take every single day, make it count. Don't overpromise yourself. Just every day, rebuke the devil, tell him not today, and then stick true and stay true to that, because otherwise we can lose our footing very, very quickly. And so I would say that it's definitely not a struggle, but it is definitely something I have to keep my eyes and ears. Like, I have full prayer in the mornings, and in the moments of any type of feeling of weakness, I cry out to God. So it is fun. I will tell you that this afterworld of being over the hump now 5 years, like, it's so great to look back at everything I've overcome and all the things I've learned. But I've been very intentional and worked through so many things. There's been moments of just complete clarity, and there's been longer periods of time where I'm like, what in the heck? Like, What are we doing here? Mm-hmm. So in that, yes, Heather Kittleson, and I live in Southwest Minnesota, close to you, 4 kids. I'm a mom of kids between 7 and 17, and married to my husband, Amos, who is the rock of our household. I love it. I love letting him be the rock and the leader of this house, because everything seems to just flow a little bit smoother because I'm kind of a loose cannon and kind of wild. So currently, as of just this past Tuesday, so 1 week ago today, we are officially a 501c3 nonprofit called Fortitude Ministries.
Awesome.
And yeah, man, the process it's a lot of work, but it is, once we get that official letter, like we did last Tuesday from the federal government, it's like, yes,
oh my gosh. Yes.
Like, it just opens the floodgates.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Fortitude and why you decided to go this direction. Because you've had a shift since we last had you on the podcast, no longer working in the corporate world. You've had another shift where you got over the 5-year hump, I think you just said. Also, thank you for being vulnerable and saying, like, oh, it's not rainbows and butterflies all the time. Like, it's a complete surrender every day to it. So thank you. And so tell us about the Fortitude and that kicking up a notch.
So Fortitude started out just as a podcast. It was a dream of mine to share people's stories. I believe, and I have since I was little, that each of us has such a beautiful story, and God has given all of us a testimony, right, wrong, indifferent. We go through all of our different stages, but every part of our story matters.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have the ability to share our story and share it outright and publicly, it really does bring healing, not only to yourself, but to others who are feeling alone or like they don't have a voice in the world or haven't been seen. Somehow, through the connection, through another voice, even just in their car as they're driving over a podcast, hearing a story that is similar to theirs, it brings comfort and so much healing to them. Mm-hmm. So that's how it all started. And by sharing our story, first and foremost, in regards to what Amos and I and our family went through, with me going through postpartum depression after our fourth and the thoughts of suicide, and was actually going to go through with it. But the biggest blessing in the world was Amos turned his car around that day through divine intervention. And within 10 minutes of me walking out the front door, Jesus just said, not yet, man. Like, no, I am not done with you. And ever since that redemptive period in my life, and that story, not sure what episode it is, Becca, mm-hmm. but those can go back and yes. listen to the full story. But I will just say that, there has been such a transformation in my heart of empathy and, agape love through everything that I have learned. It is an outpour and an outcry, because the Fortitude Ministries as a whole now serves anyone and everyone with agape love, unconditional Christ-centered love. But I'm really focused in on the family unit and how we can have an abundant life behind our four walls mm-hmm. with peace and joy, and the fruits that God's promises are so big and we tend to play small.
Yeah.
And so these last 5 years, I feel like God has saved my life, and he said, all right, now it's game on. And I don't want to mess with that. I want to show up every single day, and I want to say, like Peter in Luke 5:5, it goes on to say, like, I don't understand, God, but because you said so, I will. And I think those words have so much power. Like, I don't understand, but because you said so, I will. And that has been my motto for the past 5 years of like, I don't get it, but I am trusting in your promises. So let's go. That's where it all came from.
I love the one similar to that in Mark where it says, help me with my unbelief. Like, I know to believe, but I'm still struggling with unbelief. Help me. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. So speaking of pouring in to families, and that's the mission of Fortitude, you get to speak at an event tomorrow, and you were talking with one of your spiritual mentors, talking about why we need to concentrate on moms and women. And why is that your focus?
I believe that the mamas and women in the household are the heartbeat.
Yeah.
I believe that we hold a very sacred place within the home, and due to all the cultural lies and the busyness and all the attention that gets pulled from us, we lose sense of who we are and what our identity is in Christ, because it's like the culture tells us and the world tells us, you're going to do X, Y, Z, you're going to birth out these babies, become a mom, and you're going to be great at it. And it's going to be bliss with a white picket fence and your husband, and everyone's going to sing Kumbaya. It's kind of what the world says.
Right.
And that is not reality. That is not the case. And so we go in with the wrong expectations and come out on the other side and go, well, this is not what I signed up for. And then we lose ourselves in all of that. And so, and I'm one of them. I'm like a story to the T of, I wanted a white picket fence. I wanted it all to be bliss and all the things. And when I couldn't get to that bliss, I felt like I was a farce. I felt like I was like, this is not something I'm good at. And therefore I will just go pour myself into work. I'll go do what I'm really good at, what I get appreciation for, what I get the thank yous and accolades for. And so I see it in the corporate world from 7. I think I was probably babysitting when I was 10. So let's just go like, I worked since I could work.
Yep.
I'm never not known working. And in these past 2 years, I stepped out of corporate world because God told me to. And I did it very reluctantly. It was not an easy decision. So my heart for women is to help them transition from the, oh, I'm just so busy, to the, I am living the best life because I have slowed down, because I have truly taken in what God has called me to do. And it's a transition that I want for all women. It is possible. Like, I'm living it. I went through it. It was painful. It was ugly. I tripped. I fell. But I look at it now and go, when I get to stand in front of women, I get to say, gosh, dang it. Like, I this is the product of like years and years and years of growing, intentionally growing and doing what God has called me to do. And I want to be able to encourage women to do the same, because it doesn't have to be chaotic.
No.
We can activate the fruits of the Spirit every single morning and approach life differently with different expectations on ourselves.
Hey, encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. So what would you say the expectations of God is for moms and wives versus the white picket fence? Because that is still appealing, and it's seemingly easy, like, to picture it. And okay, so I have a beautiful marriage and I have a white picket fence and I have a job, or maybe I stay at home. Like, what would be a better way of viewing that through God's eyes?
Ooh, Becca, that's a really great question. When I chose to view life from an eternal standpoint versus a worldly standpoint, that is when everything changed for me.
Okay.
And it was simply, I exist to not go buy things, to try to fill this void that is inside of me. Like, the world will tell you, you need more stuff to take your identity to another level, for people to recognize you, for people to see you, and money's going to do that, or your kids being dressed just perfectly when you walk into like, just all the things. It's, you follow a blueprint of the world and you find yourself with an identity or the blueprint of other people who are just as miserable.
Empty.
Yes, you have the stuff, but internally, to the core of who you are, there's a discord. And you're like, but the world says that if I look good, act good, talk good, and I'm fine, I will be good and happy. And I completely disagree with that, that true joy and the fruits of everything comes from a life completely centered on Christ and what he's called us to do, who he has created us to be, who our identity is completely in Christ. And then the overflow of that, it overflows into your house. It overflows into your friendships, your work, all of it. And then you go, well, gosh, this is actually a lot easier. And the blessings become so much more abundant and real, less forced. Because I feel like we force it and then we're like, well, I worked so hard for that. Well, what are you working for though? Like, what is your end result or your expectation of why you're working so hard or why you're involved in so many things? Because you want people to see you a certain way? Because my guess is you're showing up to things flustered and not who God truly created you to be, because you're so overwhelmed. But when you pare it all back or peel it all back, when you do things for Christ, everything else, like just everything flows so differently from an abundant standpoint and an eternal standpoint versus the here, the now, the world, and all the lies that it throws at us.
Yeah. It's going to take some reflection time for each of you that are listening to do that for yourselves. But I use the phrase frequently. It's one of our family mantras, is zoom out. Like, if we've got a chaotic moment or really stressful or something, or somebody's misbehaving, including myself, I'm like, hold on, zoom out. Like, what is going on? What am I trying to push, force? What am I trying to like identify with that I haven't even put my own finger on, but I'm like, I want this to happen because. And when you can zoom out and ask yourself that, maybe it's privately first, probably preferably, right, everybody? But then in a loving way, ask your spouse, like, I know I'm overreacting. If you can choke the words out, guys, they can give you a little perspective. Kiddos will also give you perspective. Sometimes you don't want to hear it, but if you can get in a humble stance of like, whoa, why does this matter so much? And the truth is, sometimes it does matter. When you can get the bottom of it, maybe it does matter. But a lot of the times when I feel myself being forced, overwhelmed, chaotic, trying to force it, it actually doesn't matter. Or I'm putting some pressure on it that wasn't meant to be. Like, the start was good and the intention was good. But then getting wrapped up in what the worldly view of it should be is where it started to get confused. But when you can think of the times when the household was at peace, and it was flowing better, even though you were still going to all the activities, and still signing up for the things. But you had these moments in the car where you were laughing and singing and joking and all those things. I think, I'm still sometimes, not all the time, because I definitely say no to a lot of things, as you guys know. But I'm like, this is why, because my intention is to spend time with them, to see them grow, to teach them about Christ, to present them with moments where I'm like, okay, that fell flat, like, and you're misbehaving. But we can be like, another family mantra is, what can we learn here? Like, okay, well, what can we learn here? What happened here? So I like that.
So good. I like the zoom out.
Oh yeah, we have to use that phrase a lot. Even between me and my spouse, where I'm like, okay, I can see you're very passionate about this right now, but can we just zoom out for a second? And he's like, fine. And sometimes we can't answer it in the moment. It's like, I need to walk away and then I can reapproach it. But zoom out is so easy to say. Yeah. Zoom out. Hold on. Zoom out. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I think we get so wrapped up in like trying to prove our point or say something. And then we're like, wait, what are we even talking about here? Because it just like we can spiral so fast and being reactive versus responsive.
Yep. Which is
responsive way is zoom out.
Is like, zoom out. Yep. And then that phrase that I always love that was on the podcast a couple episodes back was like, you get 3 sentences with your kiddos before it's considered a lecture. 3 sentences, you guys. So as you're zooming out and you're going to approach it, especially if this is a child situation, you're like, I get 3 sentences. What are they going to be? Because then you're like getting rid of all the like, blah, and you're like, okay, this is what I want to say. And hopefully that it's impactful. Heather, tell me a little bit more. What do you think is the current biggest struggle for moms and women with the worldly point? What are we just really struggling with?
We are pulled in so many directions that our family gets usually what is last of us. We don't know necessarily how to say no, and boundaries has been kind of a thing. And because there's so many of us that have something going on in our life, it's like we're trying to solve everybody else. We're trying to move in and help our friends and help like solve all these different things before actually taking an internal look. Women love to distract themselves. Mm-hmm. And so they will distract and deflect. And unfortunately, that gets us a lot deeper into the denial of we really don't know who we are. We have lost who we are, meaning we have label upon label upon label. And the one thing we don't do is show up for ourselves. We will show up for everybody else. And then at the end of the day, we'll say, well, I just don't have anything left to our husbands or to our children. And when I reversed that, Becca, and my spiritual mentor is the one who looked me straight in the eye and said, when you get your priorities correct, and your priorities meaning God first, your husband second, your children third, and then everything else outside those 4 walls can take a hike. You don't get to be anything for anyone else until you get your side of the street cleaned up. And that's brutal. Mm-hmm. That's brutal. Mm-hmm. But it is the reality that the people behind your 4 walls should get the best of you. And it's not easy and it's not an everyday thing. My kids will tell you that I mess it up a lot. My husband will say our sex life has gotten a lot better since you left the corporate world. And it's because I have more time. I'm so much more intentional on how I prioritize my life so that they get my first fruits. And there's obedience in that. So that is the real hard truth that my spiritual advisor said to me. And in that area, I feel that is kind of a common thing for all of us, is that we need to be involved in too many things. We need to make sure we're liked. Mm-hmm. We're people pleasing. We're making sure that we, or show up to things to make sure we're seen. And the reality is we really don't need to do that. We don't need to. We need to put boundaries on what makes sense for us so that we don't lose us, don't lose who we are.
Also, I think that the rewards when you have got your priorities set and you're starting to meet them first, and you will see so many fulfilling fruits where it's not just a dopamine hit that lasts for 15 minutes as you check out from Amazon, or whatever. It is so lasting because you see your children start showing the fruits of being together and loving one another and seeing Christ in the different situations around them. And it is such a reversal of what before gave you quick joy to a deep-seated joy when you have your priorities straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that is how it overflows into our children, because our number one ministry are these sweet kiddos. Mm-hmm. And even if you don't have kids, mm-hmm. you still should prioritize your faith and your deep core of your spirit, soul, and body. Like, I'm not talking like pedicure. I mean, yes, it's nice, but the worldly, I'm talking sense of this is the eternal sense of your core of who God created you to be. You need to take care of yourself, but it pours over into these kiddos. And so what we're feeding them, life or death, like what are we feeding them? And I realized that through all the things, my learning, I don't like to, they were failures. Dude, I have messed up so much, Becca. Like, I look back at my past and how I operated on autopilot and survival mode. And I did what I knew instead of learning what I needed to help grow myself and grow my kiddos. I just was starting to repeat the cycle of that's just how we do what we do. And I have re-engineered, and Amos and I together have re-engineered how our household runs, and to watch the fruits of the kids. We're making decisions that aren't based off worldly view. We're not. We are doing things different, and people look at us different, and people think we're crazy, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Just like for the first time in my life, we're doing what's right for us and for our family. And I believe that if everybody had that perspective of like, this makes sense for my family and I love my family, and I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to make sure that I raise incredible human beings who love big, who see a need, they fill a need, they, have good boundaries. And that's what Fortitude Ministries also has walked into, is like, we're doing these conferences for young kids, like the Daughter and the Mom event. We want to help moms learn alongside their daughters and alongside their sons so that they can understand what's going on in the world and how we can protect them and how we can be the best advocate for our children. That is so important to me.
Because the risk is that we raise another kid just like the other kid. And each one of us women have been uniquely created. Each one of us human beings has been uniquely created. And if we miss the point because we're doing the grind or we're doing everything that we think we're supposed to do, how do we know that when we get up there, he's like, well, nice work. I had some other things in mind. But so that's what I think about frequently for myself, is like, if I am uniquely created and I am following, advice just like you guys are, you're listening to podcasts, I'm gathering all the information. Yes. But still bringing it back to, like you said, that internal part of like, what do you have for me, God? So I'm pouring into Nicholas, I'm pouring into my kids. And then I get these really cool businesses. How can I pour into these businesses? And where are you moving? Are you adjusting me? And that does take a ton of reflection time to make sure that you're still uniquely doing it for your family too. Each family is uniquely made up different. And we do some stuff too that even within our core family or extended family, like, that's weird. You're like, well, but it's what I really feel strongly about for our children and the way that we operate. And it's okay. And when you start doing that, you give permission to other women and other families to do it uniquely different too. And that's what I want everyone to take away here, is seek out education on how to keep making your family the unique way that God crafted it together.
Yes. Yeah. Completely.
You are doing something fun, which I have not seen done. And I've been in the coaching and speaking world for quite some time. A mother-son event. Praise the Lord. Tell me about that one.
So the vision I had for the daughters and moms came when I was still in the corporate world and wasn't sure how I was going to live it out. I knew I was on the stage, Becca. I could smell the room. I could see the faces. Like, I was in reflection time. I was in the, okay, God, like, I want to live out your will and I need a little course correction. Do I stay? Do I go? I will go wherever you call me to go, even with the risk. Like, I'm ready. So I ran with it. I did, with some wisdom and encouragement from a few others that I admire and love, pushed me into the daughter and the mom last September. The feedback from that event was the mamas looking at me and saying, that was incredible. The information, the social media, the reproductive development, the self-defense stuff, all of the financial education, the identity and worth, like everything we poured into these young girls and these mamas, some of the moms looked at me and said, hey, these girls are marrying our sons. Mm-hmm. And our sons don't have anything out there for them to attend. Like, they can be in sports. They have great teachers, great coaches, all the different things. So they're getting it, but some may not. And so as a mom with a son, would you consider doing an event like this for us? And I earlier on thought, if I do anything for sons, it would probably be dads and sons. But then I was like, I have a son and I'm a mom, and I understand this incredible 17-year-old boy and all of his friends that come through this house and eat all my food and ask me all this advice. I'm like, they are starving in more ways than one. They are starving for biblical truth. They like the questions they ask me. It's off the charts encouraging. So the event is on June 12th in the evening on a Thursday. And I'm just excited because all of the materials or all the speakers that they're speaking on gratitude. I have a private agent coming to speak who is the South Dakota private agent of the criminal internet crimes investigation. Like it's intense. His podcast is coming out soon on Fortitude. And what he shares is every mom and every son, every youth needs to hear what is going on. It is very scary, but it's real. Like we cannot turn our cheek about this stuff. So I don't like the whole like scare factor. I just believe that knowledge and wisdom of what these kids are walking into when they're out of our homes is really important. Even when they're in our homes, just like the things they need to know and look out for. I wished I would have had something like this to attend as a youth. I really do. So yes, it's for moms and sons. But I will tell you that if there are youth pastors, if there's coaches, if there's anybody out there that wants to attend, to learn, all is welcome.
Yes. And I think that's a really important note, you guys. Need to attend just to know more. It can equip us with more knowledge when we know more about the cyber stuff, like especially right there, especially for our boys and even our girls, which I know you and I have had conversations outside the interview where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to know this, la, 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 la. But if we don't, then we can't help protect and understand. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. Heather, I always ask everyone, and the last question of the interview is, how can you encourage our encouragers?
Every single day, take one step at a time. That whole phrase of like an elephant, one bite at a time, like how to eat one, it is a true life lesson for me. When I can feel super overwhelmed or I can feel like everything is just falling in on me when we are in different seasons, I have to remind myself to just stop and be present. Anxiety comes from not knowing what the future expects, and it's also from your past. Like to quit the anxiety, it is to step into the present and do the next best thing. Just do the next best thing, because this whole entire journey, it can be overwhelming, but we all can get there just one step at a time.
Mm-hmm. I love it. It's like the 1% rule, guys. Mm-hmm. Just one step at a time. Heather, how do people find out more about your podcast and also your events coming up?
So there's a registration and information link in Instagram. So it's Fortitude by Heather on my Instagram page. Otherwise, Facebook, you can go to Fortitude. Our podcast episodes are out there on all different platforms, but Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, you can just look up Fortitude or Heather Kittleson.
Hey, I just want to thank you personally for stepping out of the corporate mold.
Yeah.
Because that's amazing. Plus, you have a lot of like red tape knowledge. So I'm like, wait, what do people do in this situation? I call Heather my corporate friend. And I do love that you went rogue, but your version of rogue was stepping in with Jesus. So I'll get in the boat with you anytime, Heather. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for also being vulnerable to talk about the addiction route. And I would just like to tell you, friend to friend, job well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of the Lord. It chokes me up every time because when I see you, I see so much redemption and joy come out of you. And what you're doing with your children. One of my children now gets to enjoy those friendships within the same school. And so I want to thank you for that and for leading our sons, our moms, and our wives out there.
Thank you, Becca.
Until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. Thanks so much for tuning in. If the Encourager podcast has helped or encouraged you in any way, please subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star review. And then help us spread the message of encouragement and hope by sharing the podcast with others. Ready to bring more organization and joy into your life? The Encourager Academy helps you harmonize your home and work life through our online course and coaching programs. Our 5-system approach, me, food, family, work, and home, tackles your biggest obstacles, offering lifetime access to video lessons and guided worksheets. Learn at your own pace with practical tools and strategies. Enroll now at encourageracademy.com.
Are you concerned about tensions in the Middle East? Do you wonder where we're currently at in the biblical timeline? Are we really in the last days? Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Carl Muller with the Inside the Epicenter podcast. Every week, my co-host, best-selling author Joel Rosenberg, and I answer those questions and more. You'll hear inside knowledge of our meetings with leaders at the highest levels of government in the U.S., Israel, and the Middle East, equipping you to filter the news with biblically sound insights. Find Inside the Epicenter on your favorite podcast app or go to joshuafund.com to listen and subscribe.